Hey friends, happy Tuesday. This is Mark Remeets World. I'm your host, Mark Levy, and I'm so excited about talking about today's episode with you guys today. But you know what to do. If you haven't watched the episode yet, please go on your Disney Plus, Daily Motion, however way you want to watch it. There's so many ways. You can even have the DVDs. I mean, I still have DVDs. I don't have Boy Meets World DVDs, but if you do have an extra set and want to give them to me, please do. That's beside the point. What I'm trying to say this is, if you haven't watched episode 12 of season 1, please press pause or just watch me for 5 seconds while I count to 5 and watch it on Disney Plus. Great. So, we have a great episode today. The guest is incredible. Michael J. Clark, been on him for a while. And we will see you right after this transition. Bye. And we're back. I am so unbelievably excited to have my dear, dear friend and fellow podcaster about TV, the one, the only, Michael J. Clark. How are you doing today, my friend?
What up? I'm really excited to be here.
We have a big fun episode. Well, not a big episode, but like for what's happening in Mark Remeets World, a big episode happening today. A lot of things that we talk about on the show often happen in this episode in big ways. It's a big Minkus and a big Amy episode, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get started with like the most important information of the show. This is episode 12 of season 1 called Once in Love with Amy, released on January 7th, 1994. We are now in 1994, finally. It's directed by David Trainer, written by Ken Kuda. And yeah, so I want to try this with you because my last guest, Andrew, said like he thought it was a fun idea. I don't know if you saw this episode yet, but we're going to do a one-word back and forth version of a synopsis for the episode.
Love it.
Like a plot of the episode, okay?
Yep.
Amy
has
a
bowling
league
that
meets
Wednesdays,
but
actually
she
has
other
plans.
Let's just leave it there. That's perfectly fine, I think. Because honestly, like, let's keep some mystery in the air because that's what's about.
Yeah, why not?
Mystery. Do you remember this episode from watching it as a kid?
I don't remember from watching it as a kid. Of course, going back in my rewatches, like I remember this episode. We are about a year apart, and so I was I believe 7. No wait, because 94, January 1994. Yeah. I would have been 7. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
But no, I don't have like it doesn't ring bells from like the first time that I saw it in my first run through, watching it live. But I agree with you that it's a fun episode. It's going to be a good one to talk about.
Yeah. Let's start off at the very top of the episode then. I love this is a great episode for Corey and Eric, as it's a really big Eric episode, the first really big Eric episode. Like there's only 3 major characters in the episode: Corey, Eric, and Amy. Well, Amy mainly in the third act, but I love how Eric says the biggest difference between guys and girls is girls want commitment and guys want girls.
It's true.
And that is such a Eric Matthews thing to say, you know?
It is true to the character of, it's true to the character of Eric Matthews 1.0.
Yeah. Oh, especially like before he becomes like the dumb older brother officially, instead of just like the girl chasing older brother.
Yes.
And then Amy comes in and she's rushed and she's like stressed out. She's got bowling league that night, and everyone's trying to keep her calm because she's running late to work. And we get kind of like a very cliche, like cold open version of Amy Matthews in this scene, just a little bit more stressed out.
Yeah, and you feel bad for Alan because Alan just wants to give his wife a rose, but she's just she's a mom. She's doing mom things in the morning. She's late for work. She's yelling for Morgan to come downstairs for breakfast.
She forgets about the flower, and that becomes kind of important a little bit later. But Eric takes the flower because he's going to give it to the girl that he's trying to get back with, And Eric is called So 15, which is very funny because we have the when Corey is called at the end So 11 when they leave the scene. I thought that was pretty funny.
I will say that for me, the first laugh line of the episode was Corey saying that Feeney numbers his flowers.
Yes, yeah. Because I get to think Feeney would do. He takes so much care over his flowers. Whenever you see him in the backyard, he's normally tending to the flowers. And also, at the end of the cold open, I find it so insane that Morgan comes down for breakfast and she picks up the spoon and her breakfast is frozen onto the spoon.
Yes.
It's congealed. And I'm like, what are they feeding these kids? How spoiled is this milk?
Also, the sitter is canceled.
Oh, yeah, the sitter canceled, which is a huge amount of stress because Amy has her bowling league and Alan's busy with a manager meeting. Mm-hmm. And Eric is like, I'll babysit Corey tonight.
Yeah.
Then we get to right after the opening credits. Mm-hmm. Feeney asks a question, a math problem. The guy takes a guy 8 minutes to wash a car. It takes a guy 6 minutes to wash a car. And immediately Corey's like, it takes 7 minutes. They work together. And then Minkus decides to take over. It does a lot of math to get it all taken care of. And this is where we get a really interesting Minkus bit. He gets the problem wrong.
Yep.
And he kind of slightly snaps at this point. He's like, I need to go to the nurse's office. I don't feel good.
Yeah, it's a great, we talk about how this is a great Amy episode, and it is. It's also a good Minkus episode, too. Lee Norris gets a lot to do here. Gets to kind of play a little bit, and I really enjoy that. And so Feeney ends up saying that it doesn't matter what he doesn't care what the answer is, it's how you get there. And, that's Common Core. That's, new math. That's, what people are trying to teach in their elementary school classrooms now.
Which I don't know what Common Core is at all.
They got there.
If I ever have to tutor someone, I will have no idea what Common Core is.
Yeah.
Because that started, right when we finished school, I feel like,
Yeah, my mother teaches math in 4th grade, and I've had to substitute her classes a couple times, and she's like, all right, so we're teaching division. I'm like, oh, I can do that. She goes, no, I need to show you how we're supposed to teach division. What?
Math has changed so much in this millennium. It's ridiculous.
It has. Math is math, man.
I mean, exactly. Math shouldn't change much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. By the way, there is an answer to that math problem.
There is. Yeah, it's not hard. It's on IMDb, I was reading trivia for the episode, and it's the answer is 3.5 minutes or so.
Yeah. There's definitely an answer, but we're getting out of ourselves.
We'll get there later. But also, I really want, because Topanga does not do much in this episode. She's very much in the Minkus role, since Minkus is such a huge part in Act 1 of this episode.
Yep.
She channels the Egyptian mathematician to do the math problem. She's and then she kind of becomes a scary Topanga monster while this happens. And Feeney's like, you are correct. I love how we get crazy Topanga for the first 3 seasons of the show, and then he's normal, neurotic, smart person,
Mm.
Yeah. Let me see. Then we get the scene immediately after Corey and Eric it's after school and they're at home, and then the doorbell knocks, and this
No,
is
so you said, I'm sorry. It's Corey and Sean, not Corey and Eric.
oh, Corey and Sean. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Corey and Sean are at Corey's house, and the doorbell rings. Well, there's a knock on the door, and essentially, Minkus is a drunk 12-year-old.
Yes.
That's the best way to put it. I mean, he's not drunk, but he is not in normal headspace. He's all like disheveled and looks insane.
It reminds me of the episode of Community where Abed takes the Nicolas Cage Good or Bad course.
Yeah.
And he watches like every Nicolas Cage movie in one weekend, and he like turns into Nicolas Cage in class the next day. It's very funny.
Yeah, it's like we get basically a couple little mini monologues from Minkus of Minkus just going insane, like batshit crazy, and he's like, "Don't touch me!" Like he's like, "My life is over," like type of stuff. And then
I like also, by the way, that Corey and Sean are trying to figure out this word problem using props.
Oh yeah, they're using a Malibu Barbie car and stuff like that.
Using dolls. It's great.
Then we get to the part where they notice Amy's bowling ball bag, right? Like she comes in with her bag, and basically what happens is they open the bag to see like what's inside of it, and they notice there's a pair of like spiked heels.
Mm-hmm.
And
now before we get there,
yeah,
I have a note that I made in my
yes.
And I apologize. I'm used to hosting.
Oh no, you're good.
Like,
this is more conversation than anything.
Of course. So the reason why they look and they're at all suspicious is because Sean says, "Hey, my mom was in the same bowling league.
Yeah.
It ended 6 weeks.
6 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Shouldn't Amy know that Sean knows that his mom isn't going bowling? Like shouldn't like she come up with another lie? She's like begging to be caught here.
She's been doing this lie for 6 weeks though.
Yeah, but never in the kitchen while Sean is there.
That we know of. But you're right. I mean, she probably should have had like an alternative lie, but she also like she's a busy lady. She's stressed out with work and everything.
Oh, of course. I'm picking nits.
Oh, I know you are. But it was it's a thing of it. No, I agree. I actually very much agree with you there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Corey's like, "Let me pick up the bag," and sees that it doesn't weigh much, and sees there's shoes in there and a dance dress. And I forget, what is it that says La Bougie on there? It's they see like a thing that says La Bougie. And Eric said, "Oh, that's where all the seniors go on their dates." And I forget who makes a joke, but they're like, "Mom's dating a senior."
And I like how Sean is name dropping NYPD Blue.
Yeah. And the kids decide that that mom and dad are actually fighting, and like that mom is cheating on dad, which we'll find out is not the case.
No.
In a few minutes. But they go out to La Bougie. They see that mom is they recognize her shoes. They see that she's dancing with a guy. They're destroyed. They're like, "Oh no, this is bad. This is really, really bad." Then they also actually want to talk about the Full House reference.
So this is like, I feel like this is like a classic of its time sitcom trope of someone teaching a little kid how to play poker and them like being great at it.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like how like Kenneth is so good at poker in 30 Rock in the first season. Happens all the time. But like you said, yeah, they name check Full House.
Which is one of the few times the name check actually happens in a TGIF show to another TGIF show. I know Urkel's been mentioned a couple times in a couple different TGIF shows. There's a couple crossover episodes, but it's really rare that you see like something as explicit as Morgan being like, "Oh, it's like the Olsen twins."
Yeah. Who are her peers at the time?
Who are literally her peers because she's a precocious little kid, and so are the Olsen twins, especially because. Lily Nixay is the same age as the Olsen twins as a human being, too. Maybe a little bit younger, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they realize that mom is cheating, and then Alan comes home, and Corey's having a really bad anxiety attack, just trying to keep it all in. The trope of, I can't talk unless... Yeah.
So... I have a story about that.
Please. Yeah.
So after I graduated from college, I did a couple years with an AmeriCorps program. So it was so the first day of orientation for the program, and it was like it was a religious organization. I don't want to name check it or so. Anyways, there's a religious organization, and on like the first day of orientation, there was an event with it was celebrating like 20 years of a couple of like brothers being in the like being in the brotherhood,
right?
And so the Christian brothers like to throw them back, and so it was the event was open bar.
Okay.
And so like my joke was that having open bar on the first night of orientation of like a 10-day orientation for like a year of living in a religious community, like that's a test. And if that were a test, like I didn't get an F. But I got like a C minus. Like I didn't do great.
So you're a little drunker than you should have.
Because I thought that was gonna be like the last thing we had to do for the night, and then like we just go back to our bed and like sleep it off, and I'll be fine in the morning.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone will be great. Did not realize that after this little event, we're gonna gather again for evening prayer and some announcements about the next day. And so we're all like sitting in a circle during prayer, and I had a lot to drink. So like I was doing like the pee dance.
Oh no.
And I'm like rocking back and forth because like
oh no.
I'm buzzed and I have to pee. So I'm like rocking back and forth. And I'll never forget, the guy sitting next to me was a second year. So, like, he had been through this already. So, he was a second year. And he looks at me, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, I really have to go to the bathroom. I really have to go. And then he just, like, looks at me like I have 5 heads. And he goes, fucking go. Like I was like so like anxious about like leaving in the middle of these announcements. It just looks at me and was like, what are you doing? Leave! Like get out of here. Well, like Corey doing that reminded me of that situation. And so like a year later, it was like in between my 2 years and orientation hadn't started yet, but I had gotten I had gotten close with one of the directors, and so I was like talking with her. We were at like a trivia night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I retold the story, and I'm like, can you tell? And like, she looked at me like I had like 5 heads again, like really 5 heads. She goes like, yeah, like we can tell. Like,
well, I mean, like when someone's drunk and has the pee dance happening, then
it's obvious.
Yeah, it's really obvious. Like, yeah. I mean, we played Mafia together enough times to know that when someone really has to pee and they're drunk and they're also in Mafia.
It's a bad situation.
It's a bad situation.
By the way, I got in trouble last time that I spoke on a podcast about saying that I think that like marathon Zoom Mafia sessions are going to end when coronavirus ends. So I'm not going to say that on this. So like I'm.
Yeah, no, I saw Kirsten got pretty upset about that, and a couple of other our friends that are not local to New York got upset about that. I love doing them. I just wish I had the energy to do them for more than like 3 times in a row, especially when it starts at 2:00 because I like Mafia at night. That's just my own personal thing. It's all good. But I do think they're going to be less frequent. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to
it doesn't matter. And that's the Mafia report. So then basically Corey spills the beans that like they went to La Bougia. They saw that Amy was cheating on Alan with some stranger. They couldn't tell who it was. And she was dancing, and Alan's very okay with it, for lack of a better word. They go up to the room, and then you get a really cool scene with Amy walking in through the back, and Alan's waiting outside for her, and he goes, they found out. We're busted.
Yep.
And you find out that Alan and Amy have been having secret dates on Wednesday nights for the last 6 weeks because they're trying to keep it spicy and keeping it good. They've been married probably at this point, probably about 17 or 18 years, considering the age of Eric. And it's really funny because you also get the scene sort of from Corey and Eric's perspective while they're watching from the window, and they make it really funny for a Nightmare on Elm Street reference where they're like, they're like Dad's smiling like Freddy Krueger when he murders people.
Yeah, no, it's a great juxtaposition between like the scene we just see and then from Corey's angle. What do you think is happening?
So then the next, like for like pretty much the rest of the episode almost, is a nice 3-person scene where Amy goes upstairs to talk to the kids, and she starts explaining what has happened for the last 6 weeks. And she's like, I was dancing with your father. And then I forget which one says it, but they say, Dad's not our father.
That's Corey.
Yeah. And you find out that they've been trying to keep it spicy, keeping it good. And you realize like how much love there actually is in the Matthews house.
Yeah, yeah. So like Eric is on board, like he gets it. He's like, rock on, Mom and Dad. And like Corey's like more offended.
Corey is like horrified about having the idea of his parents having a sex life, basically.
Is it more that, or is it more them sneaking around and that like they're
I think it's weird
being dishonest about it?
Like there have been weird hints earlier in episodes. Like there's an episode where like 2 episodes ago where Corey has a video camera, and like at one point like he sees his parents like making out, and they're recording. He's we need some action, but like real action, like action.
Yeah.
Like you know, that's the international kissing pose. That's how I kiss. And I make that noise.
That's out, Rachel.
She knows we've kissed before. For the 99.9% of the people in the world, more than that, our anniversary's tomorrow. Very excited about that. Doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it matters. But okay, back to the show. that's in the show too. I'm not editing that out because this airs like 5 days. Okay, what was I saying? So I think Corey is opposed to his parents having a normal sex life.
Okay.
Like I think it's more like, hey, I'm the middle child. I got an older brother, younger sister. That's it. That's all I need. I think my parents are my parents. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, 'cause he definitely takes exception to the fact that like she's lying to him.
Yeah. And he's like not having it. Like he is really not okay in the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get like a nice little the ending of the episode. We get back to the classroom. Minkus has gone full Google hunting, like writing full equations on the board, and has lost his goddamn mind. Feeney says there is no answer to the math problem, which we all know is false.
Yes.
And that's pretty much the end of the episode, if not mistaken.
Yeah. Where I like it. Topanga turns to Corey and says, "Did your spirit guide like help you to the answer?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, my mom."
Yeah. And then we get the really funny credit sequence, which has the best 90s TV CGI I've ever seen in it. Where Minkus is still working out the problem, and he's like, I discovered time travel, and then he like disappears. And then 5 seconds later, he comes back, and he's like, I discovered time travel, and he kicks the ball and disappears. And he's like, I discovered time travel, and that was it. It's a good one. Anything else you want to talk about in there that we forgot to cover?
Not really. It's our first. And you can correct me if there are other season 1 episodes that I'm thinking of that you've covered already that like have this, but it's really our first Sean and Alan type thing, where Alan is always like kind of giving tough love to Sean, and Sean's like trying to escape. I like it. I'm surprised that it was a good episode. Morgan should not be up at 10 p.m. on a school night, so that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, because she's still very young.
Yep. What do you think of the thing with the library was not a great line.
The library closed at 9:00 thing.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like, it was interesting that they used that as a thing in this episode.
Have we already had the episode where Sean blows up the mailbox?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's coming later this season.
Yeah, I think that's in a few episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're right. I think this is the first time we get like a full-on tough love from Alan to Sean thing, because Alan is sort of like Sean's dad in a weird way. You know, he's not Chet. He's not the stepfather. But yeah.
And so again, we reference when we think about Sean's family tree in season 1 doesn't like match up with
not at all
having a sister and that's not canon. And in this one, like Verna's still at the house. Like,
yeah,
I don't know when she leaves in like the timeline of the show, but
she leaves around when Chet gets introduced.
Okay.
But yeah, like I think this is like one of those. I think this is one of the funnier episodes of Boy Meets World in season 1. And it reminds itself that's a sitcom that can be very, very funny, and not just a kid sitcom.
Mm-hmm. If I have one thing I wanted more of this episode is I don't think we got enough Feeney. I think that we could have gotten.
It's not a Feeney episode though. Like there's, like it's an Amy and Minkus episode.
It's not. You're right.
But I think what we get in Feeney is good. Like it definitely is like one of the reasons why it's like why I'd rather have a little Feeney and have it be good Feeney instead of like lots of Feeney and have it be like where would Feeney fit in this episode? That's a better question.
I don't know. I'm thinking of. I think a future season 1 episode, might be season 2, but I think it's season 1, where again, like the babysitter cancels and Feeney ends up babysitting. That's the one where Eric takes the car without having his license yet, and Sean and Corey are like watching the like the dirty movie in the living room.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But you're right that like you kind of need if Sean's the one who's coming up with like the scheme of do the NYPD Blue thing, and Taylor, then he needs to be the one to be babysitting Morgan, because he needs to be like the inside man. I guess there's no place for more Feeney in this episode, but I don't know. It's a really strong episode. I really enjoyed it.
I think Feeney, because in theory, Feeney and Minkus switched roles this episode.
Okay.
Because I feel like Feeney's there for 7 lines that are to help move the episode, and Minkus is there for a large chunk of the episode. And Feeney, yeah. It's one of those I'm happy we have this episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it colors the world a lot. Because we get a lot of Feeney throughout the series. We get a lot of we haven't had much Amy yet,
Yeah, no, this is a great. You mentioned in the text to me that it's a great episode for Betsy Randle.
And also it's I think the biggest Minkus episode, if I'm not mistaken. But moving on,
it's a good Minkus episode.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Minkus then, right? It's now time for the Minkus Minute. Minkus Minute. All right. So in this week's Minkus Minute, as you know, Minkus does math like a teacher. The way he handles that problem is really fascinating. You see Minkus as a teacher. The way he steps up to Corey is here's what you do and answer the problem. And when told wrong, he just shuts down and is I'm going to the nurse. And that's so funny. And as we talked about earlier, the way we get Minkus in that second scene of Minkus is so painfully funny and so sad drunk. It reminds me of Alex Forstenhauser if he got broken and then got drunk. But as a very small, I don't know. I mean, for those who know Alex Forstenhauser, which some people watching this might know that, he's this giant, fun, boisterous guy who, when drunk, becomes even funnier. And we're gonna bring up Mafia again. When he gets accused of being Mafia, he doesn't take it well. And then he gets Mafia. But the way that we get Lee Norris in this is such a fun way that you don't get much of in Minkus before or after, as I said before.
Yeah, I think of the episode where where the class has to pretend to be a family. Yeah, and where he kind of gets to be the cool one, and Sean has to be the Minkus.
Yeah,
that was another great, another great Minkus episode. But no, this one was a good one for sure.
Nice. Anything else you want to add for Minkus? I know we talked about Minkus a lot today, but
no, I think we covered everything about him.
Cool. And that's the Minkus Minute. Minkus Minute. And now for a segment I've been waiting for weeks now. It's time for Betsy Randle's the best TV mom in the world. A one, 2, 3, 4. Betsy Randle's the best TV mom. Yeah. So, yeah, this is such a big Amy episode. I know we got more big Amy episodes, but it's the first time that the writers really gave her the story arc.
Mm-hmm.
And we get fun Amy, which you get glimmers of before, and it's really interesting. What she does. At first, in that first scene, she's very much frantic. Oh my god, I gotta get to work and get everything done.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get we don't see her at Lubushia, but we hear about her at Lubushia, and we find out that she likes to dance and likes to have fun and all that stuff. And the way she handles that scene with Corey and Eric is just prime Amy Matthews.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't get I don't think you see how good of an actress Betsy Randle is in the show until this episode.
Yeah. This is a good showcase for her, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah. Anything else you want to add to this? I mean, I know we've been talking about both Minkus and her like the whole episode.
Yeah. No, I just have memories of my first time watched through, thinking that she was like definitely like a good mom, and one of her and like her and William Russ are just so good together.
Yeah.
They're they're a great couple, and I'm glad that she has this episode to kind of put her stamp on the character.
I also like the vision that the show gives you of her wearing the spiked heels while bowling.
Yes.
Which is a really fun joke in my mind, since you always see Amy Matthews as like very much working class mom, sometimes realtor mom, but like the idea of her like in like 4-inch heels bowling is very funny.
Yeah, no, it's a fun visual. It's a funny idea. I like when they pull out the heel. I think Sean says like if it's a bowling shoe, then the size should be on the back or something like that.
Yeah, it's just a really great episode for her.
Yeah.
And yeah. So wrapping up, let's talk about the episode MVP for each of us.
Okay.
And do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first, and I'll pick the chalk answer on the board. I think it has to be Amy Matthews.
Yeah, same here. I mean, she just knocks it out of the park, as I've been saying all for the last 30 minutes or so. And we get more of her being great, which is the most important thing,
Yep. Alan's good in it too. Minkus, like we talked about, is good. I think Topanga's a high percentage person, where she only has a couple of scenes, but she's funny in them. But no, I think it has to be Amy.
Yeah. I mean, she is a driving force this episode. The whole episode is really about her.
Yep.
Cool. Let's start wrapping up. Mike, what are your plugs, like Twitter, social medias, and stuff like that, and other cool things like your podcast?
Yeah. So I can be found on Twitter at MJCSZN. I am the host of the Pilot Season podcast, which I believe we didn't really talk much about, but Mark, you were my most recent guest. We talked about 30 Rock, and I had an absolute ball, and it's been very well received. I think a lot of people have said they really enjoyed it. So, that's what I've been doing.
It's a great show, guys. If you guys haven't tuned into any of the episodes, they're all great. There's also Boy Meets World 1 that I did a few months ago.
I did.
Which is also a great episode.
Susie knows her. You should try to get Susie for this. Like, she'd be great on this.
I don't know her, so it's a little bit weird. But
we'll see if we can hook something up.
Sure.
And then also, I'll plug this for my brother. My brother wrote a rock opera, and it's really, really cool. It's about an hour long. It's on Spotify. It's called Rope and Ladder. So if you go to ropeandladder.com, check on all of your music platforms. It's there, and it's great, and I absolutely recommend it. So
ropeandladder.com.
Rope and Ladder. Yep.
Cool. I'm gonna write that down for myself, because this boy loves himself some rock operas.
You'll dig it. You'll dig it.
I'm so excited. And yeah, and also, like, for those that don't know, Michael is an amazing musical parody artist and musician. One of the best singing voices I know. And like, if you're a fan,
more singing voices.
What?
You need to hear more singing voices.
No, I only need to hear yours. That's all I need. For those that don't know, like, he was a frequent person on the Wiggle Room. He's got his Wiggle Room Wombats hat on, as you see. And the Wiggle Room is a really fun show that's on the RHAP network. when Survivor's on, and it's really great. And he's done a great job of making some very, very funny songs that bring joy to my heart, and that's saying a lot because this heart has no joy in it. My plugs quickly at Mark Levy 85. You want to follow me on Twitter. If you want to email the show, Mark Remeets World at gmail.com has all the information for that. As you're probably aware, this is now on my YouTube page, which has live shows, shows 4 days a week, possibly soon to be 5. I'm working on some ideas, but Mondays is an AMA day. Tuesday we air this. Wednesdays, I do an interview with someone in the community that I'm intrigued by. Tomorrow will be Kevin Falk. Hopefully that'll work out. Hopefully he won't sleep in through it again because that was a stressful few minutes. Thank you for Rachel again for covering last minute with that. And on Fridays, we do our Brant Steele Day, which MJC was on a few episodes ago. And they're all a lot of fun. So if you like it, subscribe, all that stuff. Mike, thank you so much for tuning in, for being in today.
Mark, anytime, buddy.
Yeah.
Anytime.
And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.